Hey everyone, it's Mariana and welcome to another Game of Thrones episode recap and review. As always with these recaps, huge spoiler warning, obviously. Let's just get right into it because there is a lot to talk about in Season 6, Episode 2, Home. Exciting things happening here. First up, we go beyond the wall. Bran and the Three-Eyed Raven are in the middle of a vision, and they're back at Winterfell. We see Ned, Benjen, and Lyanna Stark. As kids, we also see young Hodor, whose name is actually Willis, and he can talk like a normal human. Side note, his name is actually Walder in the books, but I'm assuming they changed it in the show, so we don't have characters with the same name. Not a big deal. I loved seeing this flashback and I'm looking forward to more because I really appreciate them filling us in on the past. I think a lot of us are looking forward to a confirmation of R plus L equals J. Also really curious what happened to Hodor and how he went from Willis to Hodor. And judging by the preview for episode 3, it looks like we're going to get another glimpse into the past. Bran is obviously enjoying this. He gets to walk in these visions. He gets to see his family. Of course, he wants to stay longer, but the Three-Eyed Raven pulls him out of the vision and says if he stays too long, he may drown in this, to which Bran responds, "I wasn't drowning, I was home." In the meantime, Mira is brooding outside. Bran tries to tell her about his vision, but she doesn't really want to hear it. She's upset, and it's kind of understandable. She lost her brother. She's in the middle of nowhere. She's just sitting there waiting. She doesn't know what she's waiting for, and she's probably wondering if it's all worth it. But then one of the children shows up and tells her that Bran won't be staying there forever, and once he's out in the real world, he will need her help. So hang on tight, Mira. My only hope for this storyline right now is that it actually progresses during this season. While, like I said, I really appreciate all the visions and I appreciate getting a look at the past, I just hope they won't be stuck doing this for the entirety of season 6 with Bran, which could potentially happen. I hope it's not so, especially since the rest of the show seems to be gearing up for some action, but that's kind of a concern that I have right now. On to Castle Black. Thorne is at the door telling Davos it's time to open up, and he keeps promising that they won't be harmed, but there are also a bunch of archers aiming at the door, so his promises probably aren't worth much. Regardless, Davos, Jon Snow supporters, and Ghost are ready to fight. Thorne's men start breaking down the door, but then Ed and the wildlings show up along with the giant. Thorne wants these people to fight, and one of the archers actually decides to shoot a giant with an arrow. He regretted that decision for the rest of his life. Loved this, he got what he deserved. Wished Ollie was next though. After this, Thorne's people drop their weapons, of course. Ollie tries to charge at Tormund like an idiot, and I love that they don't even take him seriously. They just kind of grab him and toss him aside like he is some annoying kid who is randomly trying to participate in adult business, which is what he is at this point. Thorne and his accomplices are taken to the cells, and Tormund takes a look at Jon Snow's body and says they need to burn him. At King's Landing, we briefly meet this drunk guy who is talking about Cersei and the Walk of Shame, but he quickly gets his head smashed by Sir Robert Strong. It was kind of a dark comic relief moment of the episode, similar to the giant moment at Castle Black. Did it need to be in the episode? Probably not, but also I guess now we know for sure that Sir Robert Strong means business. Cersei tries to go to Myrcella's funeral, but she is stopped by the soldiers who tell her that it's the king's orders for her to stay at the Red Keep. Sir Robert Strong is there by her side. He is ready to fight, but she actually turns around and goes back to her chambers, and I love the sigh of relief from the soldiers because they clearly were not looking forward to fighting the zombie mountain Meanwhile, Tommen and Jaime are at Myrcella's funeral, where Jaime is trying to talk some sense into Tommen and is telling him to go see his mother, which Tommen does later on. But I do have to say that I really don't care that much about Tommen's scenes or problems at the moment. While I do understand that he is essentially a child and that is why he is so weak and that is why he doesn't know what he's doing, it is still not the most interesting thing to watch for me. He is pretty much just there to be manipulated, and after his conversation with Cersei, where he pretty much asks her to help him out and guide him and help him be strong, it is clear that this is going to continue, and I'm just not that interested in this right now. Back to Jaime though, the High Sparrow shows up and things get quite a bit more interesting. Jaime is obviously upset about what happened to Cersei and kind of challenges the High Sparrow, telling him about his sins and everything that he's done. When the High Sparrow tells him that Cersei had to atone for her sins, Jaime almost threatens him by pulling out his sword a little bit, but the High Sparrow is not intimidated by this in the least. He pretty much tells Jaime to go ahead and kill him because they all deserve it to begin with, but then the Sparrows show up with some weapons who apparently have been lurking around this whole time, and the irony of the fact that High Sparrow just asked Jaime if he would spill blood in this holy place, as if like, how dare you, but then these guys show up with weapons and they clearly don't mind spilling blood in the holy place, so double standard there for sure. This is definitely going to end in some kind of standoff between the Lannisters and the Sparrows, which I am very much looking forward to, and I wonder how that's going to turn out, especially after High Sparrow says something along the lines of, "We are all poor and powerless, but together we can overthrow an empire." It's on now. At Meereen, Tyrion arrives at the idea to unchain the dragons because they haven't been eating lately, and according to Tyrion, they do not do well in captivity. We also get one of the best lines of the episode from Tyrion, who says, "I drink and I know things." Relying on his theory that dragons are smart and will know a friend from an enemy, Tyrion decides to go unchain them himself. And I was kind of worried at that moment because for a second I thought they were merging Tyrion's storyline with a storyline of another character who isn't in the show but is in the books. If you've read the books, you know all about that one character who tried to play Tame a Dragon. The merge of these storylines could still happen. We've definitely seen it happen with Sansa and Jane Poole, but I do hope that's not what they're going for. But these dragons in the scene look amazing. Tyrion starts talking to them and they actually don't make a barbecue out of him. He successfully unchains one of them and then the other dragon offers to be unchained as well. This is an awesome, tense scene. I was concerned, but it all worked out. And what is interesting is that the dragons don't go free immediately. They don't leave. They stay where they are, but they know they're free now. And as much as I want the fact that Tyrion did not get fried by the dragons to confirm one of my favorite theories, that Tyrion is half Targaryen, unfortunately, I don't think that's quite enough to confirm that. I think the only thing it confirms is that dragons are smart and they do know who's their friend and who's the enemy. We get a quick scene at Braavos again where the waif is back to beat up Arya. Arya unsuccessfully tries to defend herself. The waif is quickly gone, but Sexy Jesus is back. I missed this guy. He asks her who she is and he's tempting her with food and shelter and even with giving her eyesight back, but Arya is strong and she keeps repeating a girl has no name and she passes the test. So Sexy Jesus takes her back and she is no longer a beggar and she can continue her training now. This is another storyline just like Bran's storyline where I hope they actually advance the character's story because she has been in the training House of Black and White mode for a while now. I know she is definitely far from completing her training, at least the way they make it seem in the show, but I do want her to finally be a badass and go do something. She did get some revenge at the end of season 5, but I want her to just go full-on badass Arya mode, and I'm definitely looking forward to whenever that happens, hopefully this season. At Winterfell, Roose, Ramsay, and Lord Karstark are discussing some strategies, trying to figure out if it's smart to attack Castle Black, but the Maester comes in and announces that Lady Walda has given birth to a healthy baby boy, and Ramsay congratulates Roose in his own way. Let's recap what I said last week. I can totally see him killing Roose's wife and the baby, or potentially even Roose himself. This still took me by surprise. I didn't expect it to happen this quickly, but I kind of want to thank Ramsay for doing it. He successfully eliminated the only person who was actually smart and knew politics and could have been an actual challenge to defeat. Good job, Ramsay. I'm also glad that a few moments later, they actually focused on Ramsay's face instead of showing what happened with Walda and the baby and the dogs, because I did not need to see the details of that. And did anyone else feel kind of nervous when Ramsay asked to hold Walda's baby? I mean, the baby is gone now anyways, but when Ramsay was holding him, I thought he was going to deal with him right there and then. He was going to accidentally drop him or something. Stressful scene. Don't let Ramsay Bolton hold your baby. Also, somewhere in the north, there's a quick scene with Brienne telling Sansa she saw Arya, but the main takeaway here is that Theon is letting all the terrible things he has done sink in. He doesn't think he can be forgiven. He's no longer planning to go to Castle Black with these guys, and he is actually going home. And speaking of Theon's home, at Pike, the Greyjoy storyline is getting fully started now. Balon is kind of a jerk to Yara, never liked this guy, but then he leaves and runs into his brother Euron, and I have to say Euron's introduction was pretty good, even though the Greyjoy storyline is my least favorite part of the books. But hey, Balon is dead now, and we get to what I think is the most interesting part of the Greyjoy storyline in the books, and that is the King's Moot. We're going to see them elect their new leader, which is going to be pretty fun. I know there are so many hardcore fans of the Greyjoys and everything that has to do with them in the later books, but I don't really care about these guys, and aside from the King's Moot, I really don't know if this is going to be very interesting for me unless they make it really, really cool in the show, which is possible. And this episode ends at Castle Black again, just like episode 1. We see Davos visiting Melisandre and asking her pretty much what we have been wanting from her this whole time, and that is to bring Jon Snow back. Even though Melisandre is clearly losing her faith and doesn't have much faith in her ability to bring anyone back from the dead, she agrees to try, and she does this whole ritual, and it's all very mysterious because her music is playing and she's saying some words, and then the music fades and nothing really happens, and Ghost is sleeping peacefully throughout this whole time because he clearly is not concerned. But then once Tormund and Ed and Davos leave, since they were the only ones watching her do this, Ghost wakes up, and so does Jon Snow. I cannot wait to see what happens next with all of that. The Night's Watch is going to freak out for sure. Melisandre is going to go back to her normal self. She's going to get her faith back. Sansa and Jon actually have a legitimate chance at being reunited at this point, and maybe they can even team up and go take back Winterfell. What an episode and what an ending. A lot going on aside from Jon Snow, but of course Jon Snow's comeback kind of overshadowed everything. I am so glad HBO is not AMC, if you know what I'm talking about. If you watch The Walking Dead, you totally know what I'm talking about. The only people who are currently still missing from season 6 are Peter Baelish, who I don't really know what's going on with him at this point, but I do miss his scheming. And then Sam, who I assume is still on his way to the Citadel. I hope we get to see his journey a little bit. Also, I cannot wait to see the White Walkers again, and I do hope season 6 has something epic to follow up last season's Hardhome, which was one of my favorite episodes of the entire show, if not the favorite episode. That was amazing, and I really want to see more from them. And yay, no Dorne this episode, which I am totally fine with. Seriously, can this just be the end of their storyline? Kill all of the Martells, live happily ever after. Weak men will never rule Dorne again. Done. Yeah, right, if only. But anyways, a lot to look forward to in the next episode, and for the rest of the season, I am unbelievably excited, as you can tell. That's it for this recap and review of Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 2, Home. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Did you like it more than the premiere? I'm pretty sure most people liked it more than the premiere. I know not everybody liked Episode 1 of Season 6. I really liked it, but obviously this one was even better, and they are moving this along. They set stuff up in the premiere and now they are just going for it, which is very exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you did enjoy it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye.